From this to this, let's have a wonders of discussion about my YouTube camera setup journey. Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, in today's wonders of video, we're going to have a chat about my YouTube camera setup journey, and we're going to go behind the scenes to have a look at my current camera setup. Before that though, if you would like to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so I've been on YouTube now for quite a number of years, and it's quite interesting to see the changes here on this platform. When I started up, most videos on YouTube were quite raw. They weren't great quality, they didn't have great sound, and indeed you could only record up to 10 minutes in terms of a video length. And things have changed over the years, and YouTube now is such a big platform, and indeed I think in a lot of homes around the world is probably replacing TV to some extent, and the quality of videos, the demand for the quality of videos has definitely gone up now. Now, as the years have gone on, I have gradually been improving my quality. It's probably fair to say that I haven't really improved the quality of my videos dramatically until the last 12 months. In actual fact, I don't think I've actually honed in on my final camera quality until the last 6 months. Now I'm going to show you my setup of my current camera. It's not the ultimate setup, but it certainly does a very good job, and it's definitely the best I've had over the years. Now I'm currently using a digital SLR camera. Now previously I was using this one. This is a little compact camera. Now the differences between a little compact camera and an SLR camera, it's not just the video footage quality but also the sound quality. Now I am using an external microphone to record this. In actual fact, if I go to this camera and turn the normal microphone off, now I'm using the camera microphone, and you can see there's a big difference to that. Now this particular camera that I'm using was the last camera that I had before I moved up to a digital SLR. It was a pretty decent compact camera, however it had a few flaws, and the main flaw to that was no flip screen, so I can't actually see what I'm recording with this particular camera. Now a flip screen on a camera is really useful for framing and just making sure that you're looking good in the picture. On things like pointing to cards, I can see in the corner of my eye that I've just pointed in the screen. However, if I point to a card here, I have no idea if I'm in screen or not. Now a lot of people nowadays will use a mobile phone when they're first starting up. Mobile phones are almost like a little compact that everyone has in the drawer these days. The quality is actually really good on the mobile phones, and in most cases the sound is pretty good as well, but not in all cases. If you're using a mobile phone for your videos, I would suggest a couple of things. First of all, to have a tripod with a mobile phone adapter. Having cameras that aren't shaking all over the place is really good. And of course the sound. So if your sound isn't particularly good, it's worth getting an external microphone of some description. So about a year or so ago, I decided I wanted to up my game on the channel. I wanted to invest in a good quality camera. Now I went for a digital SLR over a camcorder. And the main reason for that is I wanted to take good quality pictures with my camera, as well as being able to do the video footage. Now I suppose ultimately a camcorder is probably better for this type of work. Indeed, the great advantage of a camcorder over a normal stills camera is the length of time that you can video for. So on a camcorder, your video is endless until you run out of memory. But on a normal camera, a compact camera or an SLR, you can only record up to around 30 minutes in one continuous clip. And the reason for that is if you record longer than 30 minutes, the product is then classed as a camcorder, and it has different import tax duties. So to keep it classed as a camera, they have to have it not recording more than 30 minutes. Now on some cameras you can plug in an external recording device allowing you to record for longer, but I don't really need that, because if I am recording for over 30 minutes, it's not really a problem, because I can just stop talking, turn the camera off, restart it again, and then carry on recording. And of course I can just edit out that little splice. So it doesn't really cause me a problem personally. Okay, so I think that's enough talking. What we're going to do now is go behind the scenes and have a look at my actual camera setup. and I'm going to reveal some of the tricks that I've learned over the last 6 months that's taken my video footage to this quality here. Now I'm going to use my old camera for this, so I'm going to use this one. The quality isn't going to be quite as good, but that's okay, you're still going to be able to see what I want to show you, and I really hope that it's useful. Okay, so that is the chair where I sit. Now this little compact camera I originally was using on the table here with just a little mini tripod, and it was giving me quite an unusual angle, angling upwards towards me, which wasn't particularly flattering. I also was using the light which was above me, which I have now upgraded. I won't go into the light too much there, but I've now got a daylight bulb in there. Previously I had a tungsten bulb, so a lot of my footage was coming out quite yellow. There is a colour balance on the camera, but I never found them to be that good on these little compact cameras. So when I got my SLR upgrade, this is where I started. Okay, so I went from this little compact camera that I'm using here at the moment, which is a Panasonic TZ30, to this camera here. This is a Canon EOS 750D, which has a pretty decent focusing at a reasonable price. I mean, it can go up in the range, but this one seemed to have quite a good processor and good focusing for video. Now it originally came with a Canon 18-55 lens, an STM lens. If you're buying Canon, you definitely want STM. That's where it gives you totally silent focusing, which is obviously ideal for video. And then I upgraded the lens. That was the first thing I did. I went for an 18-135, and the reason for that was just for the close work when I'm going table down. The telephoto side of it tends to focus in a little bit closer, so I upgraded the lens. In terms of the microphone, the current microphone you see on there wasn't my first microphone. I'd started with a Rode Go microphone. It's quite a nice microphone, and I'll talk to you in a second about why I upgraded the microphone. And then I had myself this little light. This is a Manfrotto Lumi light. There's 3 in the range. This is the top one, so it's got the most power. And then of course I've got the little bracket there. And the most important thing, a flip out screen. So I started off with this. My video production quality went up dramatically. However, I was still struggling with the sort of angle. I was still using it on fairly wide angle, and the tripod was pretty low. Now one of the reasons why I was using the camera so close to me was because I wanted to be able to see this display. Now being the age that I am, my eyesight was starting to go, so I had to have it quite close to be able to see it. But I still struggled with the height of the camera, so I upgraded the tripod and got myself a slightly better tripod. Okay, so this is the tripod that I upgraded to. It's a little tabletop tripod, but extends quite high. This is a Valbon EX Mini. I believe the new version is called an EX Macro. Not too much difference, except this one doesn't have a quick release plate. And then, as you can see, the camera is much higher now, and I was getting much better footage now that I wasn't sort of angling up as such. In actual fact, my recommendations is to have your lens just slightly above your face. Not too high, but just slightly above it. So what happened was I had to get glasses about a year ago, and I found that without my glasses I literally, even at that close range, could no longer read that display. So that made me think twice about why I had the camera so close, and I actually moved the camera much further back. So I'm going to set up to where I actually have it now, and then you can have a look at that. Okay, so as I no longer needed the camera so close to me, I moved it all the way to the back of the room, and now I get much better perspective. I set the lens at the focal length of around 50mm. In old money terms, that's about an 80mm lens, which is ideal for portrait photography. So it's great for perspective. I don't get that sort of disjointed nose. I look a lot more natural. Now going back to the room light, even though I've got a daylight bulb up there in that light, which I'm not going to point to, the problem with that above light is it gives you really harsh shadows. So I generally turn that light off when I'm recording, and I just use this light. Now this light isn't powerful by itself with the room lights off to illuminate me at that distance. So I had to invest in a second light. Okay, so now I have two lights which not only fills the distance of the room when I'm looking at the camera for normal shots, but also when I'm doing my battle reports just fills the table a lot better. So I was really happy with that. Now the other issue that I had is where I was pushing the camera so far back is the microphone was quite a distance from me on top of the camera. So what I did was I moved the microphone with an extension cable all the way over here next to where I am talking, and this is where I had problems with my Go microphone. The Go microphone uses the camera battery power, and when using this extension cable I was getting interference from it. So I upgraded to this microphone. This is called the Rode mic, and that has its own battery source, and then I can turn it on from here like so and actually have no reduction in the quality of the microphone. The only thing is that I do sometimes forget to turn this on, and there's nothing more annoying than doing a whole video and then realising your microphone isn't turned on. So what I do now is I've got a little white cloth I just put over the top here, and when I video I check to see if that cloth is on or off, and then obviously if the microphone is switched on I take the cloth off so I know when the microphone is on or not. Okay, so back to the camera. Now I don't have the facility to leave this camera up sort of all day every day. I have to pack it away when I've finished recording. So I needed to come up with some little markers so that every time I got it out I had it in exactly the same position. So the tripod itself is fully extended. I always record with it fully extended, and then what I've done is on the table, I'll just move this out, on the underside of the table I have two bits of blue tack, and that is exactly where my feet sit when I am recording. So I've got a little marker there, and then on the camera when I turn it on, got the display here, and then what I do is I put the grid display on, and I use this top line against the board in the background to work out exactly where my camera should be. And this is the focusing. It's a touchscreen one on here, which is really useful. Now rather than putting the focusing in the middle, which is where my face is, I actually put the focusing down at the bottom where the chair is. Then if I'm moving around in the camera, I know it's got sort of face detection, but I do find sometimes it sort of throws it off focusing. If I focus on the chair itself, that means that I know it's going to be focusing on my body, so I'm definitely going to be in focus. And as I said, the camera lens I always have at around 50mm. Then I make sure the grid is okay there. I've got my Patreon display right at the bottom. I always angle it up so that I've got the Necron poster this side and the board that side. And then exposure wise I just put it onto program. Now I know I could potentially put it onto manual, and there is an automatic mode as well. I find the program mode better. Program is basically like automatic, except you can override what the camera does. So I can change the ISO, for example, if I wanted to. But once I've set the tripod up in that position, put the lens on 50mm, lined up this line here, plugged the microphone in, made sure that I've turned the microphone on, I'm ready to go. Now I've recently had another little upgrade which I found has been really useful. That is this device here. This is a remote control, and yeah, this is fantastic. So when I'm sitting down in my chair looking at the camera, look how far away that is, I can just press the button to record, and then when I want to stop I just press the button again to stop recording. Really useful. Okay, so that is my current camera setup. There's a few things I could improve. You can see I've got a fridge freezer right behind me, which sometimes gives me a little whizzing noise in the background. You probably could hear it in some of my videos. If you're wondering what the little whizzing noise is, it's that fridge freezer. I really can't help that. This is the only room I've got to record in. I potentially would like to get some mains operated lights, because these are rechargeable lights, which when they run out you've got to recharge them. It can be a bit of a pain. So I'd like to get maybe a big light panel with a softbox or something. That's potentially another upgrade in the future. But in terms of the camera, I'm really happy with it. Now of course we've got other things that I do, battle reports, so I'm going to show you the battle report setup next. Okay, so this is the setup when I do battle reports. Now I'd love to have a gimbal of some description, like a stabilizer. However, I haven't got to that stage yet on the channel. So what I do is I put this little grip on there. It's allowing me to put the microphone on. The microphone is obviously facing towards me, and I use this for any of my freehand work that I do on the channel. And then of course I've got the two lights with the brackets just there. So that's what I do for that. Now when I go table down, I use a multitude of tabletop tripods, and I do have a full standing tripod as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you up to a video that I made about tripods. You might find that quite interesting as well. So check out the video in the corner in that little card. Beam me up.